Good evening. It ended a little bit quicker than expected. That new intro for the vibrational actor. So I'm excited. That actually looked pretty cool. So it's just a matter of growing and allowing, whatever comes up creatively to come up and to come out. And I was just kind of sitting down last night. I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to take advantage of creating a bit of an intro for the vibrational actor. I'm your host, Sean Robert Grant. Welcome to the vibrational actor, right? So this kind of just came out of, I don't want to say nowhere, but came out of consciousness. I have the resources of the actors area, I have the resources of the articles that I've written on Backstage, New York Castings, Daily Actor, Medium. There's notes on my Facebook about that, which they're ending notes on Facebook, sadly, come Halloween or something like that. I think I read today. But anyway, so for me, the biggest thing is creating a resource, right, to help actors as much as I possibly can, but to help them in their career from an unconventional, more spiritual standpoint, because I feel like acting and spirituality go hand in hand. And I'm not saying that hardcore, unrelenting religion, but I'm talking about a connection to your intuition, a connection to the authenticity of who you are, and using that within your career, right? So there's like so many different types of spiritual principles that are, basically you can use them to further yourself along more than we even thought possible. I'm finding for myself. And that's what encourages me to really like I said, just dive in and give the goods on what I have. So with that being said, let's get into this. All right. So definitely opening the lines of communication, guys. If you have any questions about anything, anything at all, write to us, write to me, give me an email, whatever it is, corresponding, any help that I can provide, seang04@gmail.com. If you hadn't checked out the book yet, check out the book. We got the other one coming here in just a couple of days. There's a link in the description, not the bio, the description. And we're going to go for the, I'm all tongue tied. It's like my brain's going faster than my mouth can move. So get the book if you hadn't gotten it yet. It's available on Kindle and paperback, and also write to us at seang04@gmail.com if you have any questions about anything, because like I said, I'm here to help. I'm here to be as open as I possibly can with the wisdom that I've been gifted with. And so I'm happy to do that. All right. So that is all I wanted to say. It's been, took 5 days off, a bit rusty, got to get back into it, right? So yeah, we'll be just fine. So today's topic, the power of letting go. Okay. So the power of letting go. What I find is that what is emphasized more so than anything else is the power of grinding, the power of just sludging and pushing through and trying to make things happen and just straight up dominating things as they come along. And you know what? That's not always conducive to the most progress that you can have in your career and in your life, right? Pushing. You ever, so if you ever watched, and I mean, I'm not sure if you have or not, but if you ever look inside a car or any type of engine and you notice that there's gears, right? Those gears have to run smoothly. They have to run in coherence to what the engine is giving them. What happens when those gears start to grind? They become worn out, and eventually you can blow a gasket, cause a leak. Everything you don't want to happen can happen when your gears are consistently grinding, right? So for me, that's why I was always baffling why grinding became something that was so glorified, because in actuality, what it does is it stops us from making the progress that we want. I've had to learn this in the field numerous amount of times, right? So even in my own life, like the last video I did was on the 6th or the 7th, right? And then I had to let go. I had to take some time because, okay, if I'm going to continually develop new ideas, if I'm going to be receptive to what is being given through my intuition to help other people, I got to know when to stop, right? I got to know when to take the time to sit back and be receptive and open to what is being given. And that's why I came up with this topic today of the power of letting go. And so this, as it relates to acting, I guarantee you is going to create more progress than pushing. And I've outlined some things that I feel like are right up our alley to really help us to get the most out of our careers. And these are things that I've learned and incurred. And I'm excited because I can share this with you, and it takes you down a whole new path of how you approach your acting career. Okay, so let's get into that, guys. All right. So number one, don't be afraid to take time away from acting and not giving it a second thought for a period of time. Okay. So I know what this looks like. I know that when you read that, that can speak to you as I'm giving up. It can speak to you as, I just don't want to do it anymore. But you know what? That is healthy. Why? Because when I get to another one, I'm going to talk a little bit more about it. But what tends to happen is we put so much into stuff. We put so much energy that it becomes overwhelming. And we have to understand the universe works in balance, right? So if you're putting all this energy towards something, guess what? You're unbalancing the opportunity for it to meet you halfway, right? So what happens is when we take time away from stuff, right? And I've done this numerous amount of times. And thankfully, you may be just like me where you have multiple gifts where you can just step into another realm of creativity and dive into that. And then all of a sudden something happens in another area of your life, i.e. acting or anything what it is, because you've allowed that energy to kind of grow itself and cultivate, and you've allowed that thing to be magnetized towards you. That's what I'm talking about. And so what does this look like? Okay, so I got a perfect example. When I first started acting, it was all about submit. I would literally stay up till 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, just submitting for auditions, thinking of that whole thing I talked about last time. It's a numbers game. I got to submit. I got to be on it. I got to make sure that I'm putting it out there. I got to make sure that I'm connecting to this one, connecting to this one. You know what happens? It gets so exhausting. It's just exhausting talking about it, but it gets so exhausting to the point where you're just like, holy heck, what am I doing, right? So in doing that, all of a sudden, what tends to happen is you become numb, right? You don't even really feel the jobs that you get because you become so numb because you've just submitted so many times that you're just like, oh, okay, just another job. Can't wait for the next one. And you begin to look past the jobs that you're getting towards the ones you got to get next. And it just becomes a labyrinth, right? Of just going around in a circle over and over, job after job after job after job, but not really being fulfilled from those jobs. Right? So what did I have to do? I had to literally stop, right? I went from submitting every single night to saying, you know what? I'm going to submit only with jobs that resonate with me, right? And I'm going to take a small amount of time because there has to be balance, right? In that overly zealous, passionate submission of trying to get auditions, I realized something. A spirit of desperation was born within me, right? And when you're desperate, you're not getting anything. There's no way you can manifest in desperation, no matter what it is in life, especially not as an actor, because that type of energy basically exudes itself right? To everybody and everything you come into contact with. So because that is the way that it is, there's just no way it can manifest what it is, because like has to attract like. Whatever's in your consciousness has to come out into your reality. And you just got to make sure that you're in a space of balance, in a space of gratitude, in a space of knowing what it is that you deserve, right? And so when we know what it is that we deserve, we don't have to chokehold it. We don't have to hug it like it's going to run away from us. Right? Same with our careers. When we know that we're good, when we know that we're talented, when we know that we're worthy of being hired and being in somebody's film or commercial or play or whatever it is, we can take a step back and say, you know what? I know how good I really am, right? I know the work that I've put in over the last 5, 6, 7 years. I know that I am worthy of whatever role resonates with me in the perfect way. So you know what I can do? I can take time away from this. I've done the work that I needed to. Now I can step away and wait for it to unfold, because here's what happens when you step away. The pathway, the channel becomes open for the right job to come in, right? Because there's no longer something clogging that path, i.e. energy or anything else. There's no longer something clogging it to stop its progress in reaching you, right? And that's what letting go is. That's what like completely stepping away from it, okay? So we're going to get a little bit more into this as we go along to the third bullet point, but I want to go on to number 2 real quick. So be strong in letting go of all that you cannot control. And this is like a life lesson, right? When we focus on that which we cannot control, we get pissed off, we get frustrated, we struggle, we get upset. It seems like we're sinking in quicksand. But if we can say, today, I'm going to control what I can control, and whatever else I can't, I'm going to let go. And just let it go, right? So what does that look like? You do an audition, right? You do an audition. You do the very best job you can in that audition. And as soon as you say thank you very much and you walk out, you let it go, right? There's no calling up the casting. Like that was the most interesting thing when I would hear about agents calling up, casting directors and saying, well, have you guys made a decision yet? Like, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, when they make a decision, they will call if you're involved in the decision that they're making. But it would just baffle me, because that's something you can't control. So why worry about it, right? As a matter of fact, what I found for myself is I started doing really, really great auditions. And this started before I left Los Angeles. I was doing some really great auditions. And even, as I moved here to Florida, I got into this space where I knew these auditions were on point because I could feel it. I could feel it in my spirit, I could feel it within. And right after that, I can remember one time, I forget, I was in Hollywood auditioning for something, and I said to myself, you know what? This is all I can do, right? This is all I can do. Now I can go enjoy my life. And that's ultimately what you got to do. You got to enjoy your life and accept what comes along. And just because you hadn't booked in a while doesn't necessarily translate into you being not good enough. It could just be there are things working out behind the scenes to help you to get to a role with substance, a role that really matters for you, right? So always understand that it's never about a numbers game. It's about what's a good fit, right? And in that, you're not all hung up on trying to book more and book more and book more. You just want to say, okay, book what resonates, right? And I can surrender in that. I can take care of what I need to take care of and then let go of the rest. And in doing so, once again, we talked about that energy. The channel opens for that energy to allow those things to come into you, and they meet you right at your doorstep, or in this case, on your cell phone or in your email when, someone calls to tell you that they want to hire you, right? But all you can do is show up, right? Do what you know how to do as far as the audition goes, and then let go, right? There are other things too, like audition was just an example, but there's so much as actors, that's out of our control. And it's good that it can be that way, because what that does is that helps you to focus on what you need to take care of. And when you do that, when you really focus on what you need to take care of, you always come out successful. Always, right? So you got to ask yourself that question. If you're ever caught up in a situation, what can I control? Right? What is in my control? What is it that I need to take care of on my end? Right? Anything else, I can let go. I don't have to be concerned about it now. I can wait until the time comes, and when it becomes my responsibility, I'm 100% all in, taking care of it, taking advantage of it. Okay. Number 3, be open to seeking fulfillment in other creative outlets. It creates a balance that opens up opportunity. I love this. I love this. I love this. And I'm so glad I put this in, because this honestly goes without saying. And let's just see, if you're you're an actor or performer, you likely have other creative gifts that you can dive into, right? And you likely have a number of gifts that you can dive into. And what these gifts offer, they offer you the opportunity to not be desperate, first and foremost, to understand that everybody's going to have their day. Everybody's going to succeed at some point. We just have to be patient in allowing that to come through, especially if this is our purpose and our passion. We will have our day, right? We will have our day, and that will unfold in the most perfect way possible, okay? But getting back to it, what other creative outlets help us to do is to take our minds completely off. And when your attention moves away from something, right? We always say attention, energy flows where attention goes. But when you take your attention off something, what happens? It allows it to grow, right? It allows it to grow. I can't tell you how many times when I've really, really wanted something and I've been so focused on it, like, really zeroed in, and nothing would happen. I'd be like, you know what? I need to go do something else. I go do something else, and the thing pops in, it shows up. That's the same way that's going to happen in your acting career, right? It's not going to happen when you're zeroed in on it, right? It's going to happen when you're on the basketball court shooting hoops. It's going to happen when you're journaling, when you're painting, when you're writing music, when you're out at the park, drawing and doing different things that are creative. Why? Because we keep the creative juices flowing, which means we keep the energy of creativity going through a healthy cycle. And that opens up our vibration to manifest the opportunity that we desire. But all things aside, it keeps us in balance, and it keeps us from being desperate. And one thing I said in the beginning that you got to know is that the universe works in balance, right? If you're messing up the balance of the universe, it's going to tip, right? It works on a pendulum. So what that means is that if you're charging towards something, that thing is going to move from you, because the pendulum swings away from the thing that reaches and grasps, right? We want to gracefully move into the thing that we want. And how do we do that? Sometimes we just take our attention off of it and we put our attention on something else. And so if you don't have any other creative outlets, find some, right? Take a creative writing class, like I like to do sports. Like I'll go throw the baseball with the kids in the neighborhood, and it just takes my mind off stuff. I don't have to be so zeroed in on what's happening and how it's going to unfold. And that allows me to step back into my true nature, which is ease, relaxation, excitement, joy, naturally. And from there, that's where I'm going to manifest and, attract the most resonant and high vibratory opportunities to act that relate to me. And it never fails. Why? Because I'm in balance. And if my consciousness is in balance, that means that my reality has to be in balance. If my reality is in balance, that means that I'm getting stuff that's creating more balance, not stuff that's driving me insane or driving me up the wall. I think the most important thing for any actor or actress is this: know what it is that you're getting into, right? When it comes to certain jobs, when it comes to certain auditions, I can't stress that enough, right? Most people will say, get as many as you can, book as much as you can, but that doesn't always work. And as a matter of fact, it often leads to burnout, right? It often leads to burnout. The biggest thing is just move towards the stuff that feels right within here, right? Move towards the stuff that makes you feel, okay, I can get into this. This is going to help me to grow. This is going to help me to be more of myself. And I love that. I can really say I love that. Not something, and I can remember I would book certain jobs and I was literally on set thinking about what I was going to eat for dinner. Why? Because it didn't challenge me. It didn't, I didn't even necessarily challenge me. It didn't resonate from a heart-centered place. It wasn't something that I could get excited about. It wasn't something that I could say I'm passionate about this. It was like, okay, give me my check. Let me think about which way I'm going to take home, what time I can actually get out of here so I won't have to end up in traffic. If you live in LA, you know what that's like. And that showed me right there, I was completely checked out. So what did I have to do? I had to stop going for quantity and start moving towards quality roles, right? Because it's the quality roles that's going to create a career for you that's really going to make you happy and really going to allow you to, it's going to spread out into the other areas of your life. And that's what's beautiful. When you finally have gigs that bring out the best in who you are, what happens? Happiness, right? You can be happy with what you're doing and not embarrassed or not kind of like, oh, well, I hope nobody doesn't see that, because I've done a couple films where I felt that way. But now it's like, if I'm taking opportunities or if I'm making the most of opportunities, I'm doing it. Why? I'm doing it because my heart can go into it 100%. And if my heart goes into it 100%, I'm going to succeed. I'm going to succeed. So getting back to number 3, in order to do that, it's important for us to be able to balance our acting with other stuff that we got going. And I'm telling you, whatever it is, get into it. Like, do a little bit of everything. You got other gifts, get into those other gifts. Learn how to play a musical instrument. This stuff does so much for putting you into a state of ease, peace, and relaxation in a career that can potentially be stressful. Why? Because if we're looking towards popular belief and demand within this industry, it's competitive. It's get what you can get. It's step on the other person. It's go the extra mile, kiss ass, and all this other stuff. That is what the popular belief believes, right? Or understands. When in actuality, the vibrational acting side of it believes, you know what? From within, I'm responsible for everything that happens in my career. I can create myself into a success by understanding when I take care of what's within, everything outside of me will take care of itself, right? And so in order to do that, I can't treat something like my life depends on it, right? I've got to have that balance. And as I have that balance, I'm going to see more and more opportunities come into my life to act in a way that resonates with my heart. And there you have it, right? All right, guys, that wraps up today's message with the Vibrational Actor. Once again, if you feel you have any questions and you want to write to me over here at Vibrational Actor, Sean Grant Acting, all that good stuff, Uplifter Entertainment, I mean, the whole nine. What I would like you to do is just shoot me an email, seang04@gmail.com. And so with that being the way that it is, I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. And yeah, resources once again for you. If you hadn't picked up the book yet, go pick up the book. We made that really inexpensive because it's just so much information packed into this book that's only like 70 pages. It's a quick read, but it's a quick read where you can go back and you can see different things and you can read chapter to chapter and use it and just really dive into your acting as it, relates to a vibrational standpoint and not just something where you're just going through the motion. So pick up the book when you get a chance. The link is in the description. Also, we've got the actors area, which is available on iTunes, a podcast, 100 episodes documenting every possible thing that I could come up with to help actors and actresses in their careers, dating back to I think 2016 or something like that. That's a really great resource. And then also Medium is good. Got a lot of great acting stuff on there. So, it's endless. If you need help finding any of this, just let me know. I'll shoot you some links where you can go and take care of that. But all in all, ball's in your court. You have everything you need within you to be a success, period, because it starts in here first. And then just allow the stuff to unfold. Allow it to unfold. Allow it to work in your favor. And I promise you, you will move to the highest points of your career that you never thought imagined. And you'll do it in a way that's effortless, and you'll do it in a way that's healthy and that's fulfilling to you. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today. Take care. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.